So what exactly are Netsuke? On the surface, they're just fairly straightforward, tiny little miniatures. But as you start to examine them, you realize that they are more than just miniature little sculptures. Look at this tiger, for instance. The fur is so finely incised, it's as if you could pluck a single strand of hair from it. But of course you can't, it's simply incised. The detail, while extraordinary, is nothing compared to the feel of it. Despite it looking so crisp, it is so smooth to the touch, and it feels so comfortable in the hand. And then there are these strange holes. What are these for? This little bat also has holes. But as you can see, one hole is significantly larger than the other. Whenever I show off Netsuke to the uninitiated, they always assume that they are some form of pendant. But then I point out that if you were to wear most of these as pendants, they would hang upside down. And I love seeing the look of bewilderment on their faces. Of course, these aren't pendants, these are Netsuke. Netsuke are Japanese miniature sculptural toggles originating from the Edo period, 1603 to 1868. So Netsuke weren't just sculptures. They were in fact practical objects, toggles that were suspended from sagemono. Sagemono is a blanket term to describe any sort of container or basket that hangs from the waist. You see, the traditional Japanese kimono, particularly the male kimono, had no pockets, so they would suspend things from the waist. This is probably the most famous example of sagemono. It's called an inro, or seal container. Despite the name, it was actually a type of medicine container. An inro has a very long cord that runs through it, and threaded through the cord is this bead called an ojime. This stops the tears of the boxes from coming apart. To access your medicines, you would pull the ojime, and then you could retrieve your medicine. Of course, there's nothing in this one. To prevent the inro from falling through or any other sagemono, they would attach a toggle known as a netsuke. The cord would first run through the smaller hole called the exit hole. A knot is created. The function of the knot hole is to tuck in the knot to make it look more elegant. And as you see, we have a netsuke and an inro. You would be forgiven for thinking netsuke are simply little figurines. They actually come in all shapes and sizes. 3 to 5 centimeters is around average, like most of these. This one's a little bit smaller, just over 2, I think, centimeters wide. This one is just over 20 centimeters, and it's actually what is known as a dual function netsuke. It acts as a pipe holder for a smoking pipe. As you can see here, there's a hollow here. The stem of the pipe and the head of the pipe will be here, and the bell would fit just in there. And this was often paired with this very eccentric looking tobacco box. It's another form of sagemono. This one, similar to an inro, has an ojime securing the lid, and when you pull the ojime, the face acts as the lid. You pull it off and you can access your tobacco. And on the other end of the spectrum, netsuke can be incredibly small, much smaller than what you see before you. I have here probably one of the smallest netsuke and inro ensembles I have ever seen. This netsuke is, I think, just over a centimeter large, and look how small it is compared to an average size netsuke. And this style of netsuke is called a hako netsuke. It's a box netsuke. So not all netsuke are figurines. Netsuke were enjoyed by most men regardless of rank. In the West, it's very common to see netsuke as being the sort of prestige object of the samurai, but this is not quite the case. In fact, netsuke, the development of netsuke, the overall aesthetic and design, was largely driven by the chonin, which are the townsmen. This was a social class which were technically at the bottom of the ladder, They were made up of these merchants who had no status, social status, but they were incredibly wealthy due to the economics of the Edo period. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. Yes, I will be doing more carving videos.